Good morning, everybody. I'm Jamie Cash. I'm your host for today's webinar. And today's webinar is Building Your Real Estate Brand and Establishing Credibility as a New Agent. We're super glad you guys are here today. If you haven't already, put your name in the chat and let us know where you're from. This webinar is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be emailed to you in a week from today. So consider today your virtual open house. So instead of touring a property, we'll be exploring strategies and tips on how to build your credibility as a brand new agent. Today's guest is Cheryl Shuck. She is here to share her real world insights, practical tips, and experience so that you guys can have a powerful start to your career. Cheryl is a top realtor and trusted real estate expert in Morris County, New Jersey. With over 24 years of full-time experience, Cheryl has built a stellar reputation for her integrity, deep local knowledge, and unwavering dedication to her client success. She serves several northern New Jersey counties and is known for guiding buyers and sellers through every step of the process with care, education, and precision. Cheryl prefers to work with first-time home buyers because she likes to help walk them through that first-time home buying process. And her client first philosophy is results that move you. This is also her brand promise and has made her stand out professionally in the northern New Jersey real estate market. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you. So nice
We
to be
are,
here today.
we are so glad you're here. Let's see if I can find the poll. I'm going to just put up a poll. If I can find it. Um, Sorry, bear with me one second. My chat's in the way. Um, where would it be? Here it is. I'm going to put up a poll and just see who's in the audience today. So if you guys could go ahead in the poll and answer this question. Um, are you currently taking classes at Kaplan? Are you one of our awesome students? Have you been in the industry less than 3 years, 3 to 5, 5 to 10, over 10? Or are you just looking to maybe get your license? So we'll give it a few more seconds and see who's in our audience today. So far, it looks like mostly Kaplan students, which is awesome. We're so glad to have you guys. And we're going to end the poll. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll share the results. So 56% of our audience today is Kaplan students. And then 29% have been in the industry less than 3 years. 11% are looking to get your license, and then a few sprinkled in between the 3 to over 10-year mark. So thank you all for joining us. We hope you get some nuggets from today's session. But we know that new agents are kind of nervous to get out there. They haven't had a first client yet. They're brand new to the industry and they don't have any experience behind them. So it's a little nerve-wracking to get your first client. So in order to establish trust and credibility with your first client, Cheryl, what would be the most effective way for a new agent to establish that credibility with their first client?
Well, you would really want to familiarize yourself with the areas in which this particular client is looking. You want to be the expert in that area. You don't necessarily have to have deals behind you. You need to have the knowledge that's going to be important for them if they're looking in a particular area. For instance, if one particular town over another charges a higher rate for sewers, you want them to know that up front because obviously that's going to be calculated into their costs. Or if they're sitting at the house they're considering sits in front of a railroad track, you want to let them know that the track is at a train that runs all day long. Is it a commuter train? Is it once a week? You want to be able to educate them on what they need to know in order to make a good decision about where they're going to move. You don't want them
Right.
to find out later and be like, oh my God, how come I didn't know this? So the more information you have on the areas, on the housing, the more educated you are, the thought won't even come up as to how many years you've been in the business.
I like it. I like it. So be the expert for the area that you're going to choose to work in. I like it. So this kind of leads into then social media because that's usually the first place people want to market themselves. It's free, it's easy, it gets you out there. So established agents are posting their listings, they're also posting their closing, but since a new agent doesn't have either, what types of content should they create on social media so that they can build that audience and demonstrate their expertise before they have a transaction?
Kind of moving forward from the first thing I said, you can, excuse me, you can post items about a particular neighborhood, why one particular neighborhood is a highly desirable neighborhood. Is it gated? Do they have great school systems? School systems, regardless of if the client has children or not, is going to make that home value higher because a lot of people like to move into school districts where that are very high, obviously, for their children, but it also makes it very desirable for people who don't. So you can make a video about XYZ neighborhood that has great school districts, is walkable to towns, whatever information that would be pertinent to that particular area. You can also ask your fellow colleagues if they'd be willing to allow you to post one of their listings.
Hmm.
So, and depending on the laws in the state in which you're from, you can say, XYZ Realty, new listing in whatever town, and then post that particular listing. It's not going to say that it's your listing, it's just you having exposure to listings. And you can even put statistics up, maybe quarterly or even monthly, as to maybe a certain county, how much prices have increased or decreased, how long homes have sat on the market before they've received a contract, and what the average sale price is. All that information is public information that you could pull off of your MLS, and it makes you seem like an expert that you have this content.
Right.
Nowhere in there is it like, oh, well, this person's brand new and knows this. Nobody would ever even begin to think about that. So that's very helpful, and you can post it across all your sites.
I love it. Yeah, getting to be that market expert, I think, is going to be key. Getting to know that market inside and out, knowing the stats just makes you look more professional and then obviously helps your appearance. Aaron had a question about he doesn't have social media right now. So, is there one social media platform that you think works the best?
That's kind of hard to say. I think if you had to
That's
pick
okay.
one to start, it would be probably Instagram, because that tends to have a little bit of everybody in it in all age brackets. And then as you move on, if you were to start a Facebook account from there, you can have your Instagram post to your Facebook account. So I guess if you're going to start, that would be the way, the one I would start with.
Okay.
Plus, you can do reels, which are like little short video clips. So it gives you the opportunity to present a lot.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think that one's a very popular one. Some other agents are using TikTok as well. And sometimes you can even integrate multiple different platforms together, like you said, with Instagram and Facebook.
And
Um,
another one too that people don't really think of as an advertising platform is LinkedIn, because
right,
you have business professionals on that site, and if you keep posting content about your knowledge, not so much listings, because most people on LinkedIn, I say, don't particularly care about your listing, but they care about the content in the
right,
industry news. There's so
right,
much going on right now with the president trying to roll out a 50-year mortgage, that was never heard of before. Some people are for it, some people are against it. You can give your pros and cons. You don't have to per se give your opinion, but you could do a
hmm,
quick little video about, this is being presented. Here's my thoughts. And then at the end, what are yours, to see if people would,
right,
comment back. So any industry news is very helpful too to post, because once again, it makes you an area or a real estate expert.
right, right. Um, One of the questions we always get when we talk about social media, especially with newer agents, is do I keep my personal one or do I open up a professional one? Or how do we manage social media?
So with Facebook, you need to have a personal page in order to create a business page. In Instagram, you don't. It can just be your straight business page. I only have one account in Instagram two accounts in Facebook.
Do you marry them together though, or do you leave them separate?
Well, the Instagram, anything I post to Instagram, there's a little checkbox that you could have post to your Facebook business page as well. And
Okay.
I know people who don't have a business page post to their regular pages, but obviously for our purpose, you want a distinct Facebook business page
Okay.
so that you
So
can just
a
do
separate
one.
business page for your social media versus also posting like your family pictures and all that stuff.
Yeah, now I have to say, I mean, I took my mother out for her birthday the other day. I posted pictures of mom on Instagram because a lot of people know my mom. So, and people want to know too that you're a human being, that you're real and what you do. Yes, business, you want to be, I'd say, 85 to 90% business, but you're a real person. So if you're out taking the kids to a game, you post where you're at, or your children are playing soccer or something. You may take a picture of that and post that. People want to know who you are as well behind the business person.
Right. I agree. I like it. Makes you just more real, like you said,
Yep.
and more relatable maybe than, oh, well, she does this, I do that too, and that could be a conversation starter as well. So getting started, um, most people know as you getting your real estate license, you are going to be your brand. So it's very important to get a professional headshot done so that that is going to be your like one major branding piece because it's you are marketing yourself. But what are some other one or two like high impact, low cost branding investments that they should make within the first 90 days so that they look polished and professional?
Well, for those of you who are just about as wacky as I am right now with this whole AI stuff going on, um, I would suggest you create yourself a logo. You can always go on Fiverr if you wanted to pay somebody to help you do it. That's how I did mine originally. I paid somebody to help me create a logo, but I also was messing around with AI the other day for something else, and they helped me create a logo. So you can
Mhm.
go into really any AI platform and create a logo. But what you want to think about first before you start it is your brand colors. You could either take them down from whoever you're working for. One agency is like primarily yellow, and then you have another agency's blue and white, another agency's red and blue. So you could either focus on the agency's colors, or you could just create your own logo from the get-go and pick your own colors. And then once you have that done, everything you do, any marketing piece, should have those colors in it. So you're branded across all your different sites consistently.
Right,
So when
right.
people like, let's just say if you make your brand in purple, they'll know the purple person is you because every place you post, you're purple. So it has
Yep.
you stand out. It has the consistency, and it's if you don't want to spend the money, like I said, I've been playing in Chat GPT, and that baby does everything for me. I named
It
her
really
Amelia.
does.
Amelia is my friend, and she helps me with everything.
You even named her. That's great. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it, Amelia.
Amelia. Um,
Um, yeah, I like that. I think it's that has come a long way from like you said, even Fiverr, which was fairly new as well, but it's come a long way with ChatGPT and Gemini and all the other AI tools of being able to create that stuff pretty inexpensively. One other thing is, what about like their website? Do you think that that's something that they should get set up right away as well?
well, most brokerages, at least the larger companies that I know of, I can't speak for boutique companies, but
Mhm.
they'll provide you with a website. And what you really want to do is get on there and make sure, at a minimum, you have your picture on there, and also if you can put your logo on there as well, because then this way, when people go back to your website, they'll see you and have different. Um, your website here, your social media there, everything's the same. And I was thinking earlier that for new people too, one other place that you can market yourself that people don't really think of is market yourself to other agents.
Hmm.
We have a lot of events, networking events, real estate events that we go to, and I never sit with my table. And they're always like, Cheryl, why aren't you sitting with us? Like, I see you guys every day. What do I need to see you for now? Realistically, I want to network with other people, because if they have somebody that they need to send to, they have a client in North Jersey that they can't help, they're going to call me. So
Yeah.
if you network yourself to other realtors, that's most important too, because they may go to search you, and if they go on your website and you're just a blank blob where they have for your picture, they're going to be like, oh, this person can't put their own picture in the website. How well are they going to treat my clients? So I think that's very important, just to do the bare minimum on your website. Get your phone number up there, get your face up there. And I saw somebody said something about phone numbers. To be
Yeah,
honest,
they asked if they should use Google Voice, get a separate business number, or just use your personal number.
that's completely up to you. I have both. And I originally started my Google Voice number because I was doing first time home buyer seminars, and I wanted that as a dedicated line for people to respond to. But now I'll use it too for different marketing pieces. So if I know if the call comes in through there, then it came off of this
Mhm.
particular marketing piece. But as a realtor, you need to have your phone number everywhere. You can't be shy about it. You're going to get harassed, and you're going to get millions of telemarketer calls.
Mhm.
But if you know how to talk to those telemarketers, you never know how you could turn them into a potential sale.
They're trying to sell you, and you just sold them a new house. I
Yeah, I
like
said, well, by any chance, you interested in a new home? Well,
it.
no. Do you know anybody that might be interested? So,
Uh,
yeah, you just really have to get yourself out there. You can't be afraid to show who you are.
For sure. I think that's probably one of the scariest things. Like people think they're going to go into a brokerage and the brokerage is just going to give them all these listings and they're just going to go off and run. But that's not it. You're going out there and you're creating your own business all by yourself with that broker's, guidance and advice. But they're really just like a business partner basically and saying like, here's some guidance, but you got to pick up the phone and meet people and call people and get that business that you're looking for. Um, Tammy had a question. Do you need to get your logo cleared through your broker first? I think,
Here we didn't have to. Here in Jersey, we didn't have to. We can create whatever we want. I can't speak to other states, but just check with your broker. They'll be
yeah.
able to tell you if that's something that's necessary or not. I would think my personal opinion is no, just because you're branding yourself, but there are rules with regards to advertising as to how big your brokerage name needs to be in comparison to your own. So that would definitely be something you'd want to get from your broker.
Yes, I agree. And every brokerage, like you said, is a little bit different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, as a new agent, you were saying you're at social events, and someone asks, well, what do you do? What can you say other than I'm a new real estate agent? That's probably never a good answer to that question.
Yeah, and really, you want to. It's something that you need to believe for yourself. As excuse me, as Jamie mentioned, that I like to work with first-time home buyers is because I feel in every transaction I have to educate my buyers and my sellers. First-time
Mhm.
home buyers require a ton more education because they don't get this.
Right.
So I feel that I provide a huge service by, walking them through every step. So you can play with the wording on how you want to do it, but put yourself as a, like what is it that you want to accomplish in this business? I want to educate my clients in the home buying and selling process so that they're happy and they've made an educated decision on any transaction they enter into.
Right.
That's me personally. I overstep sometimes into other people's positions within the transaction just because I want to stay on top of everything and be able to then go back to my clients and say, hey, listen, this is popping up, this is normal, I just want you to know, don't get freaked on this is how we're going to handle it. So for me, it's about educating my buyers and sellers. And the
Right.
reason why and I don't want to call it a pitch, but essentially it kind of is. You want to be able to distinguish yourself from another realtor. Everybody's got to know at least five realtors.
Oh,
Why are
yeah.
you a better realtor than one of your other even colleagues for that matter? What do you do that differentiates you from everybody else. So if you can start thinking about that now, like what do you want to be able to, how do you want to stand out from everybody
Mhm.
else? And
Mhm.
once you figure out how you want to stand out from everybody else, that answer will just roll right off your tongue when people ask you.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's important too, especially when you're in classes, like you're studying, 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 you kind of need a mental break. I think that's a good time to like, okay, what do I want to do once I have my license? And how is this going to look? And who do I want to focus on? And kind of spend some time looking at that. So when you do have your license, you're ready to kind of go versus like, okay, now I'm done with my licensing classes. Now what? There's not like a lull in that time frame. And one thing I wanted to ask you too is you keep saying realtor, and I know not everyone will be a realtor. And we did have a question in here about where did it go? Um, what are your thoughts on becoming a NAR realtor when you're first starting out, pros and cons? So you can start out, everyone just starts out as an agent. Once you pick your brokerage, that brokerage may or may not require you to join a local real estate association, which then brings you into the state association, which then brings you into the national association, which is how you then become a realtor. So that's the difference. You can, and some brokerages don't require you to become a realtor, some do. It just depends. Every brokerage does it differently. But if you want to answer the question about the pros and cons of starting out as a realtor.
Well, I would say, all right, so the pros always, you're more recognized. You know, any of your marketing pieces can have the realtor with the little circle that shows that you're, you know, that you are a realtor. You have the education behind you, you have the associations behind you, and what that all brings along with you, which gives you a little bit more prestige.
Mhm.
As just an agent, yes, you can still help people, yet you don't have all the licensing and practices behind you because you have to take a lot of courses too to keep up with some of these. Now, the
Mhm.
cons, and the only way I could say it is sometimes the costs.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to pay to join your National Association of Realtors. Um, you do have to take continuing education classes every couple of years. So it's just
Mhm.
sometimes the cost associated with it. But, and we'll get into this in a couple of minutes, I'm sure, but as you're going to find out, being a realtor is, there are costs associated with it. This isn't a, you know, a 9 to 5 W-2 job.
Yeah, that's actually our next question was
Oh,
just what are
okay.
some of the upfront costs that agents should plan for when they're getting their business started? Because I feel like they don't realize all the things that they'll need to pay for when they first start out.
Yeah, everybody makes us seem like we have the easiest job in life, that we just go put a lockbox on the door, we put a sign in the yard, we pick up a check, we take our signs out of the yard, and off we go,
That'd
which
be
is far
great.
from the truth. Far from the truth, which you'll find out. Some deals can consume your entire day, but the cost up front, you have to, obviously, you're paying to get your license. Then you have to join a brokerage. The brokerage you join may or may not ask you to pay for your own insurance, which is errors and omissions in the event that somehow something comes up where you goofed, whether in your listing or in your practice, you have insurance that covers you. You have to pay for your MLS, your board, which you join. You have to pay for your key, which you join. And you have to pay for all your marketing. I mean, some brokerages may give you in the first couple of months you're there, maybe a small allowance, but this is a business.
Mhm.
So it's just like running any other business. All expenses are on you. You don't get gas money. You don't get a weekly paycheck. You
No
don't get,
allowance.
yeah, you don't get an allowance. So basically, you want to be prepared for, I'd say, 3 to 6 months worth of having a supply of money and or maybe a little side job to keep bringing in money while you're getting yourself to your first transaction. Now, here in Jersey, if we were to do rental properties, and this was something that I was coached on when I first got my license, Cheryl, do rentals while you're waiting to get your first transaction. At least it'll bring you in some money. Now, I don't know how you guys get paid in your states, but we're lucky enough that the fee for a rental is 1 month's rent, which is split between the buyer's agent and the tenant's agent and the listing agent. So at least it brings you some money to help you keep going. And then the nice thing about working with tenants are when they either, if they want a new rental, hopefully they'll call you again. And if they could decide to buy a house, they'll call you again. So
Yeah.
it's a good way to get yourself started because, like I said, people don't realize all the out of pocket money you have to start with. And if you're not prepared for it, you're going to get your license, you're going to be all excited, and then you're going to be like, oh, dear God, how do I do all this? So,
I
yeah,
don't
you
just
just,
have it. Not a W-2. It's a 1099. So you're not getting a weekly paycheck. You're having to earn every penny of what you're doing. So yeah.
yeah. And many, and agents, there's a lot of agents that can't be bothered doing rentals. So just let your office mates know how, that you can do it. Or once again, put something on your social media looking for the ideal tenant. Let me take the pressure off you. I screen them. I do this, I do that.
Yeah.
And it's just another way of, oh, rentals. Because I had years ago, I had sent out a flyer. I sent out a postcard, and I put, looking to buy, sell, or rent. And a gentleman called me, and he goes, "You're the only person who's ever sent me a postcard saying that you would help with rentals." And he had 4 investment properties. I rented his investment properties for years, and
Hmm.
then when he was done, I sold them for him
Yeah.
when he was done being a landlord. So you don't know, you really don't know where it's going to come from. But like you said, you just need to be the everyday person. Now, if you're only making $50 a rental, which I've heard in some states, then yeah, it's not really worth your time other than to give you, break the ice for you to
Right.
make you feel more confident when you're working with people. And one thing I just have to say, don't ever feel funny to say, you know what? I don't know that. That's a great question. Let me get the answer for you. Never
Yeah.
try to fake it. Just say, oh my God, I have no clue on that. Let me find out. And
Right.
people appreciate that way more than you trying to, fluff through an answer. And the fluff answer always come back and bite you anyway. So you're
Yeah.
better off just saying, I really don't know the answer to that. Let me find out.
I like it. Very true. Being honest, obviously, is going to be key for them to build that trust with you later.
Yep.
Yeah, with rentals, when we first moved to Colorado, we had reached out to an agent. We thought we were going to buy. We weren't sure where we wanted to live. So she was even like, here's a rental property that's available for like a 6-month lease if you want to do that. And so we did that. And then we just stayed in contact with her. And when we were done with the rental, she was showing us properties and that's how she, made her business that way. So it's definitely a way that realtors will utilize rentals to then get that next transaction. So that's
Yeah, and,
that's
and
smart.
a lot of renters too, if you help them, like they're just so overwhelmed with the process, you help
Yeah,
them, then they'll refer you their friend.
right.
So you
Exactly.
never know, where you're going to start and how it's going to go. I
Yeah.
had I had a rental up. I didn't even have this guy just happen to call me to see what the property was like. I wound up getting his listing. It was him and his ex-wife. I got his listing, the sale of the wife, the sale. I'm sorry, the purchase for the wife's new home, the purchase for the husband's new home, and the buyer on the listing. So
There
now
you
that's
go.
like that, all over a rental sign. So you really have no idea how the business is going to turn. So my recommendation is take every step you can, do whatever you can to just keep getting out there.
Yes, I agree 100%. Someone asked, when you're looking for a brokerage, what should they look for?
Um, as for new agents, I would definitely look for agencies that offer the most training.
Mhm.
It sounds like a pain in the butt in the beginning, like, oh my God, more training. I really don't want to sit in
I just
class.
did classes. I don't want to
Yeah,
do.
I just finished my licensing course. You want me to sit through more? But they'll do a lot of hands-on role playing. They'll give you the information you need to move forward. Because no offense there, Jamie, but most of the stuff we learned in the licensing course has absolutely nothing to do with our day-to-day business.
Right. It's
And
the licensing courses are teaching you what you need to know to pass the test to get your license, not necessarily how to be an agent once you have it. Agreed.
yes. So it's very important to find a brokerage that's going to offer you the most training and even mentorship. I know some people get a little like, oh, I don't want to, because a lot of times with mentorships, they ask you to split some of your first 2 or 3 commissions with your mentor. It's well worth the money. It's,
Hmm.
at the time you may be like, oh my gosh, seriously, I'm finally making money. You want me to give some away? But if you have a mentor and that mentor will continue even after they're done being paid, it makes a whole world of difference as to have somebody on your side who's going to help you, whatever you need, where to find stuff, how to answer. If they have a new listing, they don't want to do an open house, you can do the open house at their listing. And that's something else that you can post too. Open house at
Yeah.
XYZ property this Sunday, 2 to 4. Please join us to see this fabulous new home. So,
Yeah,
uh,
new houses are a great place for new agents to start because they can then get their name and face out there to people that are obviously looking to buy. And maybe they don't have an agent. Maybe they are working with an agent, but maybe they, you know someone else that's looking to buy. So you never know. It's all about networking and getting your name and your face and your consistent brand message out there.
yeah,
Um,
because sellers think we do open houses to sell their home. We actually are doing them to get business.
A little bit of both, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but in all fairness, I mean, that's really, I mean, you're there representing the home because a lot of agents will send their clients without, without being there with them for the open house. But you never know. The neighbor will come by, and some people are like, oh, it was all nosy neighbors. Well, those nosy neighbors are
Yeah.
going to be selling their homes. So depending on how you present yourself to them when they come into the house, might determine if you just get their listing in 2 months when it comes on the market. So
Mm.
open houses are very good to get your name out there, your brand awareness, get as many signs as you can to put around the neighborhood and, find out what your rules are. But I put mine out on Friday nights and keep them up until after the open house on Sunday. So this way people can follow the signs to the open house. Even if it's not there, now they'll start to see your name around town because you're constantly putting your signs up.
Yeah. Do you also door knock to the neighbors around that open house so that they know about the open house or
I
how
have
what you
done,
do?
there's these door hangers
Hmm.
which can be used for multiple reasons. But the last one I did was to let them know, neighborhood open house on this particular day because it was a property that had been abandoned and then was rebuilt, and they everybody had been watching the whole time and wondering what was going on. So I went around to about 100 homes and hung the flyers on. I printed little mailing labels and said neighborhood open house, um, whatever the time was, the date and the time, and then put it on everybody's house so they could come over as well. And then this way too, if while you're doing it, somebody stops you, say like, oh, hey, I'm selling that house down the street. I'm sure you're aware of it. It's been, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And, or you can door knock, and afterwards, and this is a good way to get some listings or at least get in conversation with people. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that the house around the corner from you just sold at, whatever the price may be. Just curious if you want to know how this sale has affected the value of your home.
That's
And it's
great. I
it's
like
the
that.
value of your home. And then they'll be like, oh, gee, I wonder, do you have time to
Yeah.
come back and see me? Yes, if I could come in for a few minutes, walk around, take a look at your house, I'd be happy to come back and present to you, your new value.
Yeah. Give them a comparative market analysis and that would be amazing just to have that knowledge as, oh, okay, this person just sold their house. Do we want to sell? Should we sell? Like, maybe they weren't thinking about it before, but that would definitely get them thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you have any creative ideas on throwing an open house, or how do you usually handle open houses? Tiffany had a question.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know that I do anything too terribly creative other than, marketing to the neighbors. If you have enough time, definitely market to the neighbors. Everybody thinks food's good, but you don't want people walking around the house dropping cookie crumbs and whatever else there is, especially too if you have children,
Yeah.
you don't want them stepping, chocolate chips into somebody's rug or whatever the case may be. So I don't necessarily know that you need to have music, any food or have a DJ. I think that's a little overkill. What you may want to do is, well, I always do is have music or a football game on in the background.
There you go.
Because generally Sundays you got the football season, just so people feel like they can talk and you're not listening to every word they say. I mean, I
Sure.
do, but I try to anyway. But it's just it's like it's a pleasant distraction for people to be able to walk through the house
Yeah.
at their comfort and look and see. Maybe you want, maybe your agency has a balloon thing or a big flag you want to put in the front yard, and you maybe want to put balloons and whatnot around. But I don't think it's necessary to go into all that. You want, your hype is the house, not,
Right.
if you want to hype it up, walk around or do a quick mailing, with 50, 100 houses nearby to let them know about the open house. That will show more than you having a DJ or putting food
Sure.
out, because it'll show you that you're aggressive in marketing the property. And for those people who are looking to sell down the road, they'll remember how aggressive you were in marketing the property.
Yeah, I agree. There was a house for sale across the street from me, and I was like, I don't know how they haven't fired their listing agent by now because she did absolutely nothing for that house. They took it off the market and they relisted it with the same agent. I was like, what are you doing? And it never sold. I was like, imagine that. She did absolutely nothing and it didn't sell. Like, people have to know about you and they have to know about the property. So if you don't like to put yourself out there, this probably isn't the right industry.
Definitely
You
not.
really need to put yourself out there as well as the properties that you're marketing. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of it all, right?
And
When you
there,
go,
that's even another, now that you're saying that, you could even do like a side by side comparison, and you can ask one of the AIs to do this for you. Pull two listing sheets off of the MLS, and some will be completely detailed, telling what rooms are on what floors, what room, what the room sizes are. And they'll have a ton of detail. And other one will say first floor, second floor, nothing, doesn't tell you anything about the home, doesn't even give directions how to get there. And then
yes,
you'll upload them both into your AI and ask them to do a comparison chart of why one would get more, more views than another one. And that can be another post for you.
yeah,
Because,
I like that.
and I do it all the time. I look at these listings. I'm like, dear God, did they even bother to look at it? And the listing description will be like, for sale, directions, use, ways to get there. Like, really, could you spare, was this too much time for you to do here? And it blows my mind that the owners aren't like, what in God's name are you doing for my house?
Right, right. I agree. I see that stuff all the time. Like, my biggest pet peeve is when they list a house and they don't have pictures yet. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is like your grand opening and you don't even have a product on the shelf to sell. Like, you should be ready to go when you first list that on the MLS. That is like your number one biggest day on the market is, oh, a new listing came on. Anyone that's looking for a house is gonna like jump right on that. And if there's not pictures to show, what I don't know what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Um, Melissa asked, is a mentor then the same as a sponsor?
Well, sponsors sometimes, in my mind, is somebody who's going to help pay for some stuff for you too. So they might give you some marketing dollars, money towards you getting started. Whereas a mentor is there to provide you with a plan of action as to what you need to do, things you need to accomplish, and will meet with you regularly to ensure that you are doing what the plan is.
Mhm.
Because one of the biggest things, and you need to be coachable. You don't know how to do this business. If somebody tells you this is what you need to do, you kind of have to bite the bullet on your fear or whatever it is and just say, okay, they're successful, this is what they tell me to do, I should do this. And then, down the road, you'll start to get your groove and know what works best for you and what doesn't. But like, for the longest time, I was petrified to make the phone calls. I didn't want to pick up the phone. I didn't want to call anybody. And then, then I get over it, and I could call anybody. I don't really care. I call all times of the day. It doesn't have to be a specific time of the day. But you'll start overcoming your fears by repetitively doing the stuff that you don't like to do.
Yeah. And I think that's what, going back to something you said earlier, is just you're going to go to that brokerage, you're going to get trained, and you're going to practice these scripts. And then you're going to get comfortable enough to say things without even really having to have the script anymore. And you're going to have
Hmm.
your own script, which will be more comfortable and easy for you. But just having that training at the beginning, I think really helps you feel a little bit more confident and like know what to say, because it is kind of scary to just to call some random stranger and be like, you want to know anybody that wants to buy or sell a house? And so I think
Well,
that,
the way too you can break into that is ask, a lot of people do these open houses and they don't follow up with anybody who comes. Or they'll pay for marketing, which cracks me up, and they get leads and they don't call them. So you can always ask. I remember when I first started, a couple of the agents gave me their open house list and said, here, have at it, give them a call. At least they were at the open house. They're in the market to look for something. So it's not
Mhm.
as cold of a call. And it helps you start to get into making the phone calls and not be, you may be petrified, or you may be somebody who's like, oh, no big deal. Give me the list. I'll call them all. But it
Yeah.
helps you get yourself more acclimated with making the phone calls as
Yeah.
part of your routine.
Bruce asks, should you take your own pictures or hire a photographer?
Well, the photographer is always going to be able to give you better pictures. Like I just hired somebody. I had a listing in a lake community, so he did a drone shot because the house was a
Mhm.
block away from the lake. So he did the hover over, and you could see where the house was in comparison to where the lake
Yeah.
was. It's really just a matter sometimes of time, and obviously, if you don't have money, then make sure you change you practice first with your camera and you make sure you have the right picture. Nothing drives me battier than when you have those long, skinny pictures, like
Yeah.
a regular cell phone. Like, really, you couldn't, you're going to make $2,000 on this here. At least change it to a square so it looks
Right.
like
Right.
a regular, you know what I mean? So you'd want to practice with pictures and then post them or print them somewhere just so you can see how they show. And then make sure you get, if you can't get as much in the picture, that your camera doesn't have a wide lens, but with these phones now they probably do. Make sure you take several pictures of that particular room and make sure that the lighting's good. And it's silly stuff like make sure there's no booze on the table, or they didn't leave, their towels are hanging crooked or sloppily, just like
Right.
simple little staging stuff that you can still make. If you take the pictures, will make the house look very nice.
Yes. Yeah. Toilet lids are down, that kind of stuff.
No, that drives me batty. That's the one thing that just drives me batty.
We could have a class on what pictures not to post, I
Oh
think.
my gosh, yeah.
Um, Amable said that she's working to get her license and she wants to be a real estate agent in Minnesota, but she's asking about some steps, which we don't probably have a lot of time to get into all that. But something she mentions that she wants to serve French speaking clients since she speaks French, which I think is again like when Cheryl was talking about like being that market expert, like you just need to find your niche. And if that is, being able to speak French, then that's your niche, right? Like that's then the market that you need to kind of dive into and find those other people that have that similar interest. So you definitely can do that. I just think it's something that you then just need to carve out that niche and that's, that could be your marketing is I can speak French and I can translate things for you. If this is your first time buying a house in the US and you don't speak English, like I can make that transaction go smoothly for you. So that kind of stuff is great and it very much brings you out of the norm because not everybody has a second language to speak. So I think that's something you can definitely build on. Um,
Most definitely.
one
And
other
it makes
thing,
the marketing part too, do your ad of the
right?
particular and then write it again in French. So
Yeah,
obviously people know if you're writing it in French, then you speak French.
yeah. And Jacqueline says she has a Cambodian friend that focused on Cambodian focused
Yep.
Facebook groups. So yeah, that's exactly it. Smart. Okay, we are running out of time. So one piece of advice that you would give your younger self, what would it be?
Mine would be don't be a secret agent. When I first started, I came from an industry where I was seeing, hundreds and thousands of people per week. I was an event planner. And when I first started in real estate, I would sit in the office and you'd maybe get one or two people that you talk to. You don't have clients. So I didn't tell people I was an agent because I was afraid that maybe I wasn't going to stick with the business.
Hmm.
Let everybody know that you're in the business. You cannot be a secret agent. You have to get your name out there. You want people to know who you are. And just, that's the most important thing. Just get your face out there so people know that you're a realtor.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl, for your time and all of your insights today. You had so much
Oh,
great
my pleasure.
information. If we didn't get to your question and you have more, you can scan this QR code and go into our community. Post any questions you have there. I will be sure to either answer them or get them to Cheryl so that she can answer them.
Yes, I'd be happy to answer whatever I can.
Yeah, and then last but not least, we also have a real estate accelerator course that kind of expands upon some of the ideas that we talked about today and that Cheryl had brought up about your branding and your marketing. So this would be a great class. Some of you already have this class because you purchased it with your career launcher package. So don't forget that you have this class. It's a great class to kind of get your business started. So there's a QR code there if you want to scan that. But I just want to thank you again, Cheryl, and thank all of you guys for joining us today. We look
Yeah,
forward to
thanks for
seeing
your
you
great
at the
questions.
real. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys next month in our Real Expert webinar. Again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.